Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Not Now Mom, I'm Gaming. My name is Kay, and in this episode we'll be talking about the demo of the game Coffee and Boobs, because so many people enjoy that kind of blend. I'm not one of them. I don't like coffee. I can appreciate a good set of boobs though. Kudos to the ladies that work at Hooters. Hooters still exists, right? I didn't just date myself or anything. Anyway, Coffee and Boobs was one of the games that piqued my interest during the first quarter of Steam Next Fest. I wanted to try and complete as many demos as I could during the event, and this was one of them. I will say I was rather surprised by the game itself because I was thinking it would be just waitresses with big boobs in a coffee shop, but it's not quite like that. I think it's a bit better than that, honestly. Before we start the review, I won't be stating what the review score is so far because it's a demo, but here's the blurb. Join the young man who wants to become an apprentice of the greatest barista in history. Finding himself under the roof of a cozy cafe, our hero will quickly realize that the staff here will steal his heart and settle in his hot dreams for a long time. Who would miss such an opportunity to fulfill his dream, and even in the company of charming and passionate girls? As of this podcast, everything on my end for the Coffee and Boobs demo is complete, which just means I've done the short review, the written review, this podcast transcript on our written review post, as well as gameplay for the demo over on our other channel. And now, for the gameplay review. First off, let's listen to the chill tunes this game has to offer. Yes, quite the lovely music to listen to when sitting in a coffee shop, if I do say so myself. It continues on through the game as well, so it's not just on the title screen. Now, if you're curious about if the game uses AI software for artwork, the story page states, character designs are created manually by artists and writers, but we use AI to speed up the drawing of details. We also use AI to speed up the drawing of backgrounds and H scenes. AI is not used to generate content directly during the game. I don't know anything about AI software except sites where you're able to type in a prompt and it'll spit out images for you, but maybe the artists were able to draw the characters themselves and used AI to place them into multiple poses and such. Like I said, I'm not really sure how that works, but the artwork was made by artists and slightly manipulated through AI. Our first scene brings us to the outside of a cafe where we got some pretty color coordination of teals and light blue and tan for the building, and kind of a rustic orange for the door. There's some outdoor tables under sun umbrellas, and it's just overall very nice and inviting. What I love most though is the top-down view of a flower pattern in a coffee cup on the left side of our text box. And it looks like there are coffee stains around the outside of the cup too to make it stand out more. Oh, I love it. It's definitely one of the more appealing things to look at within the game, for me at least. As far as the text UI, the text is plenty big enough, as is the text box, and it has a nice tan shade to it. What's interesting is instead of using our name for the person speaking, it's using narrator, because we're not actually talking out loud. So our inner thoughts are going to be represented by narrator, while our actual speech will be represented by Sam. I really like how they split the both of them, because in some visual novels it can be hard to tell when someone is speaking or thinking, especially when quotations are easily forgotten about, as well as italics. I mean, they can still mix up the names, but this just makes it more obvious. Maybe the one thing I don't like so far with the UI are the symbols in the upper right. They're a bit big and distracting. The I is to hide the UI, though you can also press spacebar to do so. The speech bubbles is to read through the dialogue that you've already been through. The infinity sign is to have the text run on auto mode. The arrow, I think, is to skip ahead. I'm not quite sure because sometimes it worked and other times it didn't. This was on a second playthrough that I was clicking on it. It would be kind of nice to be able to hide them away on the side. Funny enough, at the start of the game, when Sam introduces himself, he also breaks the fourth wall, so at least we're being acknowledged, right? Sam has a thing for coffee. A big thing for it. He loves the stuff, apparently, and also loves going to a place that offers the best coffee. What's weird is we don't name a particular place. Not even a made-up town or anything. We just state this coffee shop is in the coolest place in the city, and city is capitalized. I don't know why they didn't make a random name for it if they didn't want to use a real place. We do get the name of the place though, Serenity Coffee Shop, and we're really selling it with how amazing the coffee is. Inside we have a very cozy setting, table setups with hanging lights, window views to gaze out over the town and stare at people who walk by, and the table in front of us even has a cup of coffee, as well as a glass of something that's decidedly not coffee. Maybe that's what makes this place so popular? And then we meet our redheaded waitress named Eileen and realize the true reason why this place is so popular. Unless you don't like redheads. And then, I don't know what to tell you. Don't come here. She's got kind of a pretty maid outfit going on, using the white and black color scheme with the red stripes on specific parts of the clothing. White bow ties in her hair, little blue hearts for earrings. I don't think I'm doing her justice here. I hate describing people. When she speaks, the image on top of her coffee actually changes. So it's not always going to be the flower, it's going to vary person to person. Another really nice touch. And during her conversation with us, we get choices, which means this is probably going to be a choices matters game. Though I don't fully know if your choices merely change the direction of the dialogue, or if it will actually influence portions of the game itself and take you down different routes. Seeing as this is the demo, I didn't really change up my answers. As Eileen does her waitressing thing, we get to see different characters, including Mr. Goodlaw, Paris, and Gabby, who seems to be the pastry chef of the place. I commend the artist for throwing in Mr. Goodlaw because I can't say for sure if he's going to be a regular character or if he's just here for this skit. I can see Paris and Gabby showing up again in the future though, mainly because Gabby works here and Paris, well, have you seen her? The next character we meet is Lance, who seems to be the one who makes the coffee we seem to love. Or maybe we love the coffee because he's the one making it, because he does look like a fine man. Aside from the goatee. He can accidentally get rid of that. He also looks like he's manager from the way he's dressed. Very professional looking. I did notice the first problem with the demo. There are two identical paragraphs not too far from one another. So one shows up and a few text boxes later, the same one shows up. And if you don't like similes, then be prepared, because I think you'll be reading a lot of them in this visual novel. In a short span, some of the ones I came across are: I will burn up from shame, like coffee beans forgotten in a frying pan. These thoughts made my hands shake like I just took 6 espresso shots. Forgetting about my order, I carefully reached out for the drink, as if afraid that this compliment would melt like a sugar cube in hot coffee. Along with the drink that we ordered, which was Uppercut, if you must know, they put another drink in front of me, which is called Liquid Courage. I don't know what's in it, but apparently it's made for people who need to gather some courage in order to do the thing they want to do. And clearly we've got something we're thinking about doing, but haven't yet made it to the point of doing it. After we take a drink of it, we're buzzing with an unnatural high and go straight up to Lance and ask him to take us as a student. Well, we don't really even ask, we scream it. Very professional. But Lance hasn't taken on students in a while, and also states that we're not ready yet. And in order to prove that we are ready, we must pass his test. It's a weird one too. We had to make an old stone in the part called Grandfather sing at dawn. How we're going to make a stone sing? I have no idea. Maybe there's a hole in it and wind can pass through? We're getting ahead of ourselves though. As we contemplate how to achieve this goal and possibly become his apprentice, the shop gets more customers to show up on the screen, one looking like a jogger, another being a girl with a book, and a guitarist. I'd imagine we'll be seeing these characters later, but I'm not completely sure on that. Well, our enthusiasm is kind of deflated at this point as we make it back home and think about how we're going to figure out the solution to the test. We do, however, remember that we've been invited to a party by our mother's friend's son. Does that mean him and I aren't friends? He's just a random guy that invited us because our parents were hanging out one day? A little weird. On another note, this is a cozy room for a guy to have. My room would never be this clean. nor will it ever be. Everything is just nice. We're going to push forward a bit quicker here with the game review now that we're in the club and things are popping. I always feel like I'm doing a line by line with visual novel podcast episodes, mainly because there's no movement to them. It's all literally a book, and I don't want to sound like I'm just reading the lines to you and giving it play-by-play since I do playthroughs for these games. It's just really hard for me to acknowledge whether I'm doing a podcast review of a visual novel justice without blatantly telling the story. You know what I mean? Anyway, we see 3 of the customers that were in the coffee shop sitting at a table, but we're also snarked at by another girl we haven't seen yet. She seems like sort of a badass with a biker vibe, given her attire. She disappears for a bit and we end up trying to twerk too hard on the dance floor and end up passing out and waking up on the bar, I think, which comes back around to our biker babe, Jo. Apparently she's got a load of problems in her life right now, and we know how to make just the perfect coffee for her to clear those problems off her table. We have a choice of 3 different coffees to make, and I went for the Promise of Tomorrow, a delicate latte with a cozy aroma and a pinch of hope. Well, she loved it. She loved it so much, she's giving us me eyes. Thus, we ended up in a bedroom, and this is where the adult side of the game comes into play. We're not done with the demo yet, just the adult scene. We make it home and forgot to ask Jo for her number, so we have no idea how to get in touch, but it'll be one of our missions to find her. Also, there's no time for sleep because the test needs to be completed, meaning we're headed for the park in the stone called Grandfather. It's literally just a stone in a park, a very peaceful looking park. We can't come up with anything, and the runner from the coffee shop comes up to us and escorts us to the shop because we need some coffee in our system. When we get there, guess who we see as a waitress? That's right, Jo. And that's where the demo ends, which is nice because now we don't have to try to party jump to find her and ask for her number like a weirdo. We can ask for her number like a normal person in a shop. Overall, I really like the Coffee and Boobs demo so far. I think it's interesting that it's not just your usual work in a coffee shop with women who are big honkers and hook up with them in different ways. Instead, you're actually given a task from a coffee master because you want to be his apprentice. I don't know where the storyline will go from here, but I'm eager for more. But for now, this ends our gameplay review of the demo for Coffee and Boobs. And don't get in too much trouble if moans are coming from your room and you have to say, "Not now, Mom. I'm gaming."